For my film presentation, I chose the movie Split. In the movie Split, the character I will be analyzing is Kevin Wendell Crumb. He's played by the actor James McCovey. This movie takes place in Philadelphia. A lot of this movie takes place in where Kendall or Kevin lives, which is under the zoo, and the a lot of the all the rooms are windowless, rundown, and with very dim light. The setting almost shows Kevin's mental state by showing it's dark and strange, and the rooms represent his different personalities. Also, the Kevin living under a zoo it symbolizes a lot of survival instinct and a fine line between humanity and animal instinct, which is very important to remember. So for the diagnosis, Kevin has dissociative identity disorder, also known as DID. DID is a multiple personality disorder where the person's identity is split up into different personalities, and these personalities have different names, styles, behaviors, and even ways of perceiving the world. This disorder typically develops through severe trauma, usually during early childhood, and in the film, it is even hinted at the fact that Kevin had was severely abused by his mother whenever he was much younger, which was mentioned by his therapist, Dr. Fletcher. Um, Taking other cultures into consideration, I don't think this is diagnosed in other cultures, frankly, due to the fact that the other cultures do not see this as something that is not controllable and is being done out of choice, or other cultures could see this as something that is spiritual or special. In our culture, some of our stigmas connected to this disorder is mental weakness, exaggeration, dangerousness, misunderstanding, and a lack of personal responsibility. Some evidence. One clear symptom that Kevin displays of the disorder is that his different alters. He has 23 different alters, but technically he has 24, the 24th one being known as the Beast. But the ones that are shown mainly in the movie are Hedwig, Patricia, Dennis, and Barry. One example of his different alters is when the main character says his full name to bring him forward, but then many of his other alters begin to come forward with their voices being different and even their personalities. You could see the flip of their personality, like of his alters. Another symptom he strongly shows is memory gaps. Memory gaps is when you can't remember what another alter does, and uh, it's displayed a lot in the movie. A big example from the movie is when the main character also calls him forward. He Kevin comes forward and he asks the main character what year it is, or he asks what time it is, because the last time Kevin remembered anything was in 2014, and this movie takes place in 2016, so Kevin had a 2-year memory gap. One symptom that Kevin did not display is everyday functional difficulties. He was actually very well functioning. He could maintain routines. He just um, he lived on his own. His housing was like pretty fine too, or I mean, it was under a zoo, but it was pretty fine. Um, Another thing is he was pretty well organized and clean, maintained when he was under certain alters, which DID usually struggles with maintaining routines, work, school, and relationships, sometimes even needing help from another person. My treatment plan will work around with ISSTD, which focuses heavily on treating DID. Uh, for Kevin, I will first build trust with him and his identities and meet with the most dominant ones first, and through that therapeutic connection, we will work through his trauma. Next, I would create a personalized safety plan for each different alter. That way, you know, if something happens, you know how to handle each one of them and calm them down. Next, I will teach him grounding techniques and DBT styles like emotional regulation. Then I will teach him communication between identities as a way to form his identity reintegration, and finally educate him on the way as a way to rehabilitate him. This treatment is important for Kevin because ISSTD treats the most severe DID presentations, and this is one of them. It involves 3 different phases, and this is talked about in a paper titled Effectiveness of Phase-Oriented Treatment for Trauma-Related Dissociative Disorder, a Systematic Review. It says that the 3 phases are stabilization and symptom reduction, treating trauma memories, and identity reintegration and rehabilitation. Um, I don't think there are really any ethical concerns with this treatment because, for one thing, I'm not hurting Kevin physically or mentally. I'm just trying to help him. Some situational problems that Kevin might run into is access to care, the severity and risk of helping him because he's extremely dangerous, and his stability for therapy. Some of the cultural barriers he might face is the stigma around mental illness, cultural misunderstandings of dissociation, uh, and media influence. Finally, some societal barriers he most likely will face is limited awareness, legal and safety constraints because he's dangerous, and a fragmented mental health system. Some broader perspectives, I think some of the way that DID is portrayed in the film is somewhat accurate, maybe like him having multiple personalities, but a lot of it isn't. And by that I mean, whenever he changes into different alters, it's very dramatic, which most of the time it's usually not. And on top of that, it's very exaggerated, especially his transformation into the beast. This is not true at all. DID does not make you taller, faster, or stronger in the way that it did with the beast. That's just exaggerated, but that's just the movie. And the way we portray disorders, depending on film influence, I think we tend to think much more of a disorder because movies tend to over exaggerate disorders as a way to let us see into that disorder. Um, but honestly, it really depends. Sometimes movies are really accurate, but those are the movies that are focused on informing people about those said disorders and are trying to be accurate as they can. And then finally, these are my references that I used. Thank you so much.